Yo, RX back with another retrospective. This time we are going way back, the farthest back in time we have went so far, all the way back to 2004, before I was even born. I know it's made a lot of people feel old, as we look back on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. Yes, we are looking back on the best season of The Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, we looked back on Contender Series Season 1, which was fun, and we've looked on the last two seasons of TuF, and lately, this year's and last year's, but why not go back to the beginning? Why not go back to where it all began? And, yeah, I know this has been done many times before by other people in probably much better ways. Main one that comes to mind is the Underground. Another great MMA channel did one, looking back on what happened to all the fighters, and all that, doing a recap of the season, so I'll have that video in the top right now, and if you want to go see someone do this much better than I do, go check him out. But if you want to hear me talk about Season 1 of TuF, we're gonna do that. So, obviously, I did go back over time and watch this season. I will never do a retrospective for something I didn't go back and watch, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I'll get to obviously I made the post yesterday about it, but I will talk about it here again. Sorry for pushing this and the stream for today off till today, or for yesterday, today, whatever. Yeah, I just felt like shit. I feel fine now, better. My voice is kind of gone, but it is what it is, and yeah, I'm good to be doing this. I was meant to do this a day ago, but illness got to me and took me out for a day. But we are back, and I am more than ready to do this. Can't wait to do this later tonight, Wednesday, go live, and have a great time with y'all on this beautiful Thanksgiving Eve. So, it's gonna be fun, and yeah, happy to be back. So, only videos this week with no fights. So, the next two videos will be retrospectives. I'll do TuF Season 2 next week, hopefully on time, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, but yeah, not really a whole lot to say. You already know TuF Season 1's phenomenal. I don't need to tell you the season is great. Obviously we know a lot of the backstory behind it, but so excited to talk about it. It's gonna be fun, and yeah, so obviously how we're going to do it is I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to go through each draft pick, look at them, look them up, look at how they did overall, and then after doing all that, we'll look at the fights and the season finale and blah blah blah. So, just like I did for the last two TuF retrospectives, should be fun. Let's fucking do it, shall we? So, yeah, unless I'm going to say something, which I don't believe I am, really the only thing left to say now is the normal YouTube bullshit, which is, please like, comment, and subscribe. 200 subs is the goal by the end of 2025. And with that being said, I can't think of anything else. I can't really think of anything else to say, but fuck that sentence up. So I guess the only thing left to say is, ready to recap some golden age of TuF. I think we are. Also, there's a really good Dark Side of the Cage episode on this season, so check that out if you want. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. Shall we do that? I think we shall. TuF Season 1 recap for all you old heads, and for anyone new who hasn't seen it, go back and check it out. At least the finale fight, which we'll talk about. Check it out. It's great. And, let's get into it, shall we? TuF Season 1 recap, retrospective, whatever. Let's do it. The only thing I would say before getting in, the last thing I'll say, I believe this is when they had two fighters eliminated before the draft at each weight class, voted off or quit or whatever, so yeah, I do remember one dude quitting. I think the other dude was voted off. Maybe that was a later season, but I think that's when they still did that. So, yeah. But, yeah, let's look at the fighters. Let's look at the draft, beginning with the #1 pick in TuF history, We had by Team Liddell the first, I think it was light heavyweights and welterweights. So the first light heavyweight off the board, and the first pick in TuF history. We had by Team Liddell, Bobby Southworth, 10-6, 55 years old. Obviously, he was the first pick, and if you watch the season, he is very infamous. He did a lot on the season. He fought Vitor Belfort back in a few years before this fucking season in Pride, no less. That's crazy. But yeah, he got on the show. He did win the first fight of the show ever. Got by knockout. Did lose to Bonner, which we'll talk about that fight more when we get to it. And he only had one other fight in the UFC after this on the finale, where I think they had every fighter from the season fight. And he lost that to Sam Hoger, who another can we'll talk about later. After that, went on to be pretty mid and not do a whole lot, ending 4-2-1 in his last couple fights. And yeah, that was about that for his career. Last fight in 2010. Bobby was definitely one of the better characters of the season, fighter-wise. Not the greatest. Well, he is alright. Again, he would give Bonner a pretty good fight, and we'll talk about that fight more when we get to it. But yeah, he was not phenomenal. He was a fine fighter, but he was really there just to be a big character, and he was very entertaining. Like I think we all remember, or if you did see the season, the episode where there wasn't even a fight in the episode, where it was just him and I think it was Florian just fucking with Lieben, not pissed on his bed, but put a hose on his bed, pissed him off, So he's just kind of the asshole. It was Koscheck, my bad. Him and Koscheck were just. So he's just there to be kind of an asshole, and he was a pretty good asshole. So yeah, I don't know. For a number one pick, especially from the other names that are on this season, not very terrible compared to what we have now. The last two first-round picks and current TuF, Bobby's much better. But yeah, look, in hindsight, for all the great talent that is on this fucking season, yeah, Bobby going number one is beyond insane. And yeah, truly, he was just there to be an asshole, and he was. He was a very good asshole, subpar fighter, and but he did get the first ever win in TuF history and the first ever pick in TuF history, so you can hold on to that. And I guess in the end of the day, not the worst of the season, but still number one for guy wonders. Diego, Bonner, Forrest, and Kenflo, Koscheck, Lieben. It's yeah, not great. But history is history. There you go. And then for the second pick of the first round, this one by Team KOTOR. Obviously, the coaches were Randy and Chuck. If you don't know that, we'll talk about them as coaches at the end also. But with Randy's first pick at light heavyweight, he went with someone sadly did not get a fight this season due to injury, but did turn out to be another very decent fighter to come from the season, as we had in the second pick of round one and Randy's first pick at light heavyweights. We had Nate Rock Corey, 13-4, 53 years old now. Yeah, he for very decent pick here. Again, probably not the best you could have got, but still very decent. Sadly, he did not get to fight on this season due to injury. Obviously, you've probably seen a clip where they were training. Dude takes him down right into the back of Nate's leg, injures him, and he can't fight. But he stayed around as a coach, which was cool. And yeah, very cool there. This sucks we didn't get to see him fight, because he obviously did go on to have a pretty decent career in the UFC, going 7-3. So did get a title shot against Rich Franklin, which did not end well. But, you know, still got it. Only lost to high-level guys, Damon Maya and Jorge Rivera. Like, where Jorge Rivera is your worst loss out of three, that's saying a lot. Best win, Shoney Carter. Caleb Strains, another TuF alum. Like, I'll give it Pete Sell. Like, he did not beat many high-level guys, I'll give him that. But, yeah, he was a very solid fighter. Like, again, like for TuF's, God, if he was on TuF now, he'd be the best. They put you'd be the best fighter on TuF. What did that tell you? Yeah, very decent fighter. Like, of course, he kind of gets overlooked in the season because the few other, the bigger name guys were the bigger name guys and who they were, but yeah, let's not forget Nate Corey in this. Kind of got fucked over not getting to fight due to injury. And he was very decent again, got a title shot somehow. He was decent, man. So, yeah, sucks he didn't get to fight, but I think him not being injured could have fucked around a lot of shit in this tournament, so probably got a bit lucky there with how everything turned out. And yeah, Nate Corey, very good first pick by Randy. Still not the best you could have got, especially compared to Bobby. Very good pick here, and very good first light heavyweight off the board for Team Couture. Even if he didn't get to fight, we still know it was a very good pick, and there you go. Went on to have a pretty solid career. Even I know what, 10 fights overall is not a lot. How long was he in the UFC for? 5 years? Could have fought more, but what can you do? And there you go. Then going to the welterweights for round 2, we'll begin with Chuck's first welterweight off the board, and a very infamous fighter from the season, the one and the only, one of everyone's favorite assholes in MMA history, Josh Koscheck. The first welterweight off the board, and it was one of the best ones, to say the very least. Koscheck, very iconic for just being an asshole. In the UFC, he was very successful, 15-10 record. A lot of the losses came at the end of his career, so it makes his record look a lot worse than it really was, taking 5 L's in a row at the end of his career. But yeah, he was very good wrestler. Like, obviously, he made it to the second round. He beat Lieben in round 1, which that was a very iconic feud, and then fought Diego in a very close fight in the second round. Did lose, but it was debatable, and even then he still went on to have a pretty good career. Again, 15-10. He coached a season in TuF against GSP, which we'll talk about someday. He rematched Diego and beat him. Chris Lytle's a good win. Beat Rumble Johnson, Paul Daly, that iconic moment. Frank Trigg, I think that's a very past prime Frank Trigg. Had another fight with GSP. Got beat, probably even worse. That second fight is one of my favorite fights of all time. I love GSP just jabbing him up for 25 minutes. It's so perfect. Beat Matt Hughes. I think that might have been Matt Hughes' final fight. But yeah, then he did go on that losing streak. Did have a fight in Bellator against some fucking nobody. Got starched out, and that was that. So, a very good career for Koscheck. Like, we all remember him, especially on this season, again, for being just an asshole. That's what he was best at. But he backed it up. Again, beat Lieben, who he was mainly an asshole too. Couldn't get past Diego, but he did get him in a rematch. Had a chance to beat GSP twice, didn't happen. But still, to end with a pretty good record, some good wins like Diego, Trigg, Rumble, Daly, Hughes. Pretty good. Again, that 5-fight losing streak in his career kind of hurts. Hendricks, Lawler, Woodley, Ellenberger, Silva. That's a pretty crazy streak of guys. Clay Dana was trying to get Koscheck fucking murdered. And, yeah, he succeeded. Got beat one more time and then dipped. So, yeah, still a very iconic name. We're always gonna remember Koscheck for either being an asshole or also being a very good fighter alongside being an asshole. And, yeah, he wasn't one still, even him not being like the big 4 of fight. Well, actually, he might be number 4, because obviously we know the big 3, Diego, Griffin, Bonner. Koscheck could easily be number 4 now, with thinking about it. So, he's very good. We already know that. Might not have been the most exciting fighter, but he's very good. He was a funny asshole. Him and Southworth had a lot of fun being assholes, traded Lieben, and, yeah, very iconic fighter. Like, what else can you say? Like, he was an asshole. He was kind of Colby Covington 1.0 at welterweight. The asshole you wanted to see get beat up. He got beat up a few times, but he also put a beating on a lot of guys. And, yeah, I think we'll always remember Kaz for better or worse. good first welterweight off the board. Not the worst pick you could have made. Probably the second best pick you could have made. There you go. But then Randy Couture takes Koscheck's enemy, or whatever, his arch rival, with his first welterweight off the board, as Team Couture selects with their first welterweight in the second pick of round 2. The one and the only, maybe the most exciting fighter of the season, and maybe just a lot of entertainment from this psychopath, as we had probably a fan favorite for many back in the day, Chris the Crippler Lieben. Oh, who does not love some Chris Lieben? 12-10 record. Obviously, we know he was another one of the most fun fighters from this season in terms of entertainment. I did not know he was meant to fight in Pride. What the fuck? That's sweet. Yeah, obviously, entertainment-wise, one of the most fun fighters of the season. Then, obviously, you want to go skill-wise. He had a long, fun career, a lot of bangers. So, yeah, TuF, again, kind of like Koscheck, just fun, entertainment and fun, plus being a good fighter. That's exactly what they want from the Ultimate Fighter, and Lieben was exactly what they wanted. A guy who got drunk, did stupid shit, peed on, I think it was in Thatcher's bed, or it was one of the fucking dudes. He put his hand through a glass door. It was insane. Lieben definitely one of the highlights of the season, and maybe again the most entertaining fighter overall of the season. So didn't go good for him. He did lose 2 fights because he lost Koscheck round 1, and I think because Corey got hurt, they had to bring in maybe someone else got hurt, I don't remember, but he had to come in and fight a second time, and then obviously against Kenny Florian, didn't go good either. Did better, but still lost, and yeah, so, but then he went on to have a very good UFC career, beat Patrick Cote, another TuF alum, Jorge Rivera, that's a good win. Obviously, maybe the most iconic fight was he was the guy who had to get beat up by Anderson Silva in Anderson's debut, so not great there. What else? Fought Michael Bisping, that was probably a banger. Fucking, he got to fight Sexy Yama, which is a banger. Brian Stan, Randall Silva. This run of fights was amazing. And then he kind of declined. Like, Koscheck just lost, quit versus Uriah Hall. And that was the end of his career in MMA. But then he went to BKFC and did pretty good. And retired on a win. I watched that fight. And, yeah, I love to see it. So, yeah, Lieben, a legend. We all love Chris Lieben. He entertaining outside the cage, and obviously one of the most entertaining guys of the 2000s in the cage. Very fun. Known whoever rocked the red hair better. Daniel Marcos can keep trying. Lieben will always be the king of the red hair, and just king of having bangers and being a drunk. When they sign someone up for TuF, they want him to be like Chris Lieben. Sadly, no one has been like that, but what can you do, man? There's only one Crippler, and he was, what else can you say? Legend, fun fighter, fun outside the cage. One of the highlights of the season. Who does not love Chris Lieben? For newer fans who've not went back and watched Chris Lieben fights, go watch some. Trust me, very fun. I've done it. Everyone should. But then we move on to round 3 with the first from our first pick of round 3 by Team Liddell. And speaking of fun legends, we have in the first pick of round 3 the second light heavyweight off the board, the welterweight off the board. I don't fucking know. Did he fight a light heavyweight? I don't fucking know at this point. What is he? I think, yeah. So maybe, was this the light heavyweights and this was the welterweight? I don't remember. I don't care. At the first pick of round 3, the first winner of the 2 weight classes, as we had in our third pick of round 3, another legend and psychopath, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. What can I even say about Diego? I can't really say much that hasn't already been said. 19-13 in the UFC, complete legend. Obviously, was the winner of this season in terms of his weight class of the welterweights. Beat Alex, Josh Rafferty, and Josh Koscheck. Then beat Florian in the finale where he just dominated him. And then went on to have a lot of UFC fights. Let me get this shit out of here. I had one of these UFC fights. Went on to have a lot of UFC fights. Beat Nick Diaz, beat Joe Riggs, beat fucking Clay Guida in one of my favorite fights of all time, top 2 or 3. Beat Joe Stevenson, Paulo Thiago, Martin Kampmann, Takanori Gomi, Ross Pearson, Jim Miller. Fucking, even as of his later years, Mickey Gall. Can't even say Michelle Pereira. So, but he did take a lot of losses as well. But she was only losing to the best of the best. Koscheck, Fitch, Penn. Hathaway, that's debatable. Ellenberger, and Melendez in a fucking banger. So, like, he had that Matt Brown knockout, Ally Quinta, Mike Chiesa, Jake Matthews, etc. And he did have that one other Kevin Lee fight. He had a fight or two in BKFC that went awfully terrible. And, yeah, we all know the story of Diego getting that shitty coach later in his career that turned in even a lot of bullshit there. Speaking of Dark Side of the Cage, a very good episode on Diego you should check out. Yeah, like, we all know Diego, we all love Diego. He was a psycho, he was just not even a psychopath, he was just weird on the show, he was spiritual and shit. And, yeah, but he, again, just like a few others, he backed it up. He was one of the most iconic fighters in TuF history. First winner of TuF necessarily, because his fight happened before the Griffin fight. Yeah, what can you say about Diego that hasn't already been said? Like, it sucks how his career ended, and it sucks he never got that retirement fight they wanted to do because of that stupid-ass coach, but we all love Diego. We'll always love Diego. Good to see he's in the Hall of Fame and seems to be doing better. That Guida fight will always be a top fight for me of all time. I'll always love, again, I probably have that as my second favorite fight of all time. And, yeah, kind of, just like kind of Chris Lieben, if you don't like Diego Sanchez, you don't like him. A legend. What can I say? The first ever TuF winner, one of the best. Then we go, speaking of TuF legends, dude, this season was so stacked. It's funny to talk about this season after talking about the last two and the last time I talked about TuF. It's like, Jesus Christ. And speak of the devil, of the fight, the other finale, we had in our second pick of round 3, a fucking, were they picking by weight class or just, because I know Diego and Bonner ain't in the same weight class, because they might just be picking by whatever, so whatever, I don't know. But in the second pick of round 3 for Team KOTOR, taking a fucking W of a pick, probably the Randy's best pick, to be honest. We had the one and the only, I know I say that for a lot of these guys, but they all deserve it. The American Psycho, Stephan Bonnar. Rest in peace, rest easy. You fucking legends. Bonnar, 8 and 7, awfully part of maybe the greatest fight in UFC history. I think at this point I've kind of came up with the idea, yeah, it probably is the greatest fight in UFC history. Bonnar obviously made it to the finale, beat Bobby Southworth, which we had that fight. It's definitely one I want to talk about a bit. And then beat Mike Swick, which was a really good one there to get to the finale. Had that bang over Forrest. We all know the story there. And then after that, he went on to have a really good UFC career. Keith Jardine, good win. Sam Hoger, guy from the season. Yeah, it seems like Keith Jardine's easily his best win, sadly. Lost to the Rashad, Forrest, again, we don't talk about that rematch. Jones, Coleman, that's not great. I'm not going to attempt that fucking name. And obviously the last UFC fight was against Anderson Silva. It's just weird, someone just made a video on that card in that fight, so yeah, go check out, you look up UFC 153 and watch that video. So I had that shitty fight in Bellator against Tito after doing that corny, like WWE type promo, and then retired. Well, so nothing really, a lot of bad came out of that, and after that. But yeah, we don't need to talk about that. At least I remember the great fighter Bonner was. Legend in every sense of the word, saved the UFC, had made the greatest fight in UFC history, will always be remembered. A fucking legend, what can you say? American Psycho, rest easy Bonner, you fucking legend. Thank you Bonner, what a fucking legend. What else can you really say? Not really much more that needs to be said. As we move to round 4 with the something we just talked about because Bonner beat him. As we go to our first pick of round 4, as we have now we start getting to the shittier fighters, and then, like outside of like a few, now we're kind of getting to like the side of the show, because even first season now it's shitty ones, beginning with maybe the worst fighter or one of the most annoying fighter of the season, and being the first pick of round 4, Sam Hoger. The Alakan Assassin, Sam Hoger. 2-3 UFC record. I call him the most annoying fighter because all he did was bitch for most of this fucking season. He stole people's fucking gear or whatever and cried about it, bitched about it. You just want to see him get beat up, and thankfully Forrest did beat him up. Forrest beat him up in his one and only fight and got eliminated. Got to the UFC, or stayed in the UFC, went 2-3, beat Bobby Southworth, and lost to Bonner, beat whoever the fuck Jeff Newton is, and then lost 2 in a row against Sugar Rashad and Lyoto Machida, and then got cut, went on to actually do pretty decent for himself, 4-1 after the fact, and that's that. Yeah, he was like, even compared to Bobby and Koscheck, those guys were more likable than Hoger, because all Hoger did was bitch, and especially since the dude was a fucking shit fighter, it's like, dude, shut up. Like, you're a fucking whiny little bitch, and, yeah, he thankfully got beat up for it, got his karma, had a forgettable UFC run. And, yeah, he'll go down as the first annoying little crybaby of TuF history. Always good to see him get beat up by Forrest. And, yeah, never like a crybaby. That's all Hoger was. Good to see him get his karma about that. There you go. Somehow he got to fight Sugar Rashad and Lyoto Machida. No idea how. I have no idea how he didn't get finished in round 1 by both those guys. But whatever. There you go. Not the crybaby of season 1. To go from a crybaby to another guy who might actually get overlooked a bit on this season because the rest of the season was so fucking stacked. We have in the other pick of round 4 for Team KOTOR, Mike Quick Swick. A guy who was like not on a level of guys like Forrest Jago, but was very good in his own right. 10-5 in the UFC. Did only have 1 fight on TuF, a loss to Bonner. Understandable. Everyone, if you watched the season, he lost to Lieben before getting on the show, because they talked about that a lot. But yeah, they kept Swick around, and he went on to have a really good UFC career. Like, look at this fucking streak. Beat Joe Riggs, beat fucking Marcus Davis, Josh Berkman, Ben Saunders. Yeah, I'm really struggling to find decent names here. Lost to Okami, Dan Hardy, Paul Thiago, Matt Brown, and Alex Garcia. So yeah, not the greatest. His wins are kind of weak. His losses are very understandable. Mainly, he was decent. Again, kind of like probably the best like mid fighter. Like in middle tier, if you were ranking every fighter, he'd probably be like dead center in the middle. He's not on the top tier of guys like Lieben, Diego, Koscheck, but he's much better than guys like Hoger, Southworth, all those guys. So, like the most perfectly average fighter of the season, very good. Again, put a guy with his skill set in TuF right now, he would easily win the show. And yeah, very good fighter. Again, more wins than losses. From 2005 to 2009, he fucking went, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-1. So, very good run there. And, yeah. So, not very much to say about Swick. Again, kind of falls into the background on a season where all the talent was the talent that this season was. but he's still decent. Yeah, Pat went on a pretty decent UFC career. Quick swick. What can you say? Then we go to round 5. Oh boy. Now we get to the fighter of the season, the fighter you think about when you think of the season, or fuck, we'll just say it, the fighter you think about when you think about the Ultimate Fighter. And then the first pick of round 5 by Team Liddell, easily the best pick in maybe TuF history to get this guy in round 5. We had, again, maybe the fighter you think of when you think of the Ultimate Fighter, Forrest Griffin. What can I even say? 10-5, former champion, won the season, had maybe the greatest fight in UFC history, won the belt against Rampage, coached his own season TuF against Rampage. That was legend through and through. Beat Tito Ortiz, Rich Franklin, Tito Ortiz again, Shogun, legendary win there, Bonner again, we don't talk about that. Only lost to, like, outside of Jardine, which is kind of a loss. Like, Jardine was alright, but he's not really a world beater. Everyone else he lost to, very good. Tito, Evans, Spider, and Hua. Legend, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. I'd have to probably say he has to be top 5, right? Like, obviously, he's not top 3, because those are your guys like Jones and DC. Like, yeah, I think it's struggle not put Forrest in top 5. Fuck, you can maybe put him top 30 fighter of all time, period, for just what he's done. Still works for UFC to this day. They love him. Who doesn't love Forrest? Legend through and through. When you think of TuF, you think of Forrest Griffin. And, what else can really be said? The Ultimate Fighter. That's all that really need to be said. But then we go from the Ultimate Fighter to a guy that no one will remember on the Ultimate Fighter. And we go to the other pick of round 5. Louis Kincaid, the Vanilla Gorilla, the first loser in Ultimate Fighter history. He was the guy getting knocked out on the end of that Bobby Southworth win in the first ever TuF fight. So, you know, great there. And then he had one fight in the UFC, got beat up by Nate Corey, then got cut, went to do pretty alright, up and down. Rest of his career looked like more wins than losses, mainly. And, yeah. So, not very much to say here. Yeah, he was a very not memorable fighter. Pretty shitty. Again, I guess his career highlight is being the first loser in TuF history. Cool. Not really, much to say. Thanks for coming after Forrest Griffin. There's really not much to say. Yeah, simple. There you go. Like, not trying to be a dick, but easily the worst fighter we've talked about so far. Yeah, I think even Hoger's better. And, yeah, respect to him bringing the first ever fight in TuF history, but, yeah, outside of that, yeah, shitty. So, rest in peace. So, yeah, no, R.I.P., bro. But, yeah, we can be honest. Not very good. Then we moved around 6, and we begin with another banger, another legend, and the last one on this board, because the rest are shitty. As we have our last big name fighter of the season, another one of the best from the season, another legend of the sport that we all, if you watched, you know, I think most people liked this Ken Flo, as we had the first pick around 6, and the last good fighter selected, Kenny Flo Florian. Who does not love Kenny Florian? 12-5. He did UFC commentary for a while, I thought. Bring him back, fuck it. Obviously made it to the finale, only had one fight on the show. The way they did it back then was stupid. They didn't do the you need to fight twice in the first round, second round. It was just stupid. So he only needed one fight to get to the finale, beat Chris Lieben, and then went on to lose to Diego. But after that, he went to have a great UFC career. Got 3 title shots. One of the few fighters to ever go 0-3 in title shots. Him, Dustin Poirier, Alexander Gustafsson as well, maybe. Joseph Benavidez. So he's not a great accomplishment, but that is, I guess, something. Sean Shirk was his first title loss. BJ Penn and Jose Aldo was his last ever fight. 3 different weight classes he fought at. Hit some of his wins. Dean Thomas, Joe Lozon, Joe Stevenson, Roger Herrera, Clay Guida, Takanori Gomi. Dude had a great career. Outside of title fights, he only lost one other time to Gray Maynard. 12-5. Legend. What can you say about Ken Flo? Complete legend. I thought he cornered someone not that long ago. Who is in his camp? Because I swear I remember him cornering someone. But I could easily be wrong. But clearly still sticking around doing coaching, so that's cool. And yeah, legend. What can you really say about Ken Flo? Like I swear he did commentating at one point. Coaching. Legend. Great fighter. Got 3 title. You don't get 3 title shots by fucking accident. It's just a shame he had to fight 2 of the greatest of all time, and Sean Shirk when he was juiced to the gills and pretty decent in his own right. So yeah, another fucking legend. Again, any other season he would have been the best fighter of the season, but he just had to be on a season with guys like Forrest, Bonner, and Diego. So, but still a legend through and through, and who does not love Ken Flo? But then after that, we get to the last 5 picks, which are all kind of shitty, so we'll probably run through these pretty quickly. As we'll begin with the other pick of round, I believe 6, right? Yep, Alex Karalexis, T-Rex. Alex T-Rex Karalexis. Yeah, not very much to say. You're 1 and 2 in the UFC. Got beat up by Diego in his fight, then won his fight on the finale episode and lost to Kenny and Jason Von Flue. And then got cut, went on to do Up and Down, fought Showtime in WEC. I guarantee that was competitive. Nobody. And yeah, kind of that's about that for him. Kind of forgettable. Kind of was always just in the background of the season where I remember. Didn't do a lot, didn't say a lot, didn't expect a lot from him. He's fine. About it. Not very much to... Like, probably still better than, what was that dude's name? Sincade. But that ain't saying a lot, and, yeah. Just kind of, there. About it, and, yeah. So, there you go. Not much to say. Not the most forgettable guy of the season, but yeah, one of the guys who kind of were just in the background. So there you go. Then we had to begin round 7. Another Alex. This one even worse. I don't. Oh, speaking of forgettable Alexes, maybe the most forgettable Alex of the season because maybe just a fighter in general. Because I thought this dude did fucking nothing until he finally did fight. As in the first pick of round 7, the other Alex of the season, Alex Schonauer. Is that how you say it? Schoner? I'm going to go Schonauer. The first Argentinian on TuF. Obviously, Santiago Ponzinibbio was on later. And that might be long and short of how many Argentinian they had on the show. One or maybe one of the only international guys of this season. Him and there was a Canadian later, I believe. So that's about as international as they were getting back then. Now every fighter needs to be from a different fucking country. So great. Did not do a lot. Did fight Forrest Griffin, got beat up, and then fought Mike Swick and got beat up and then got cut. Again, another guy who I swear did a borderline nothing until he fought, like, again, late in the season. I think him and Forrest was, like, one of the last fights of round 1. So, and again, he really did a lot of nothing from what I remember. So, kind of just quiet there. But yeah, then he got cut, went on to go Up and Down, lost to that Sincade dude, so I guess maybe this dude's the worst fighter of the season. Yeah. Wins and losses. I don't know if a positive record at least. Yeah, not much to say. Yeah, forgettable. He was there. Cool. Not much to say. Then we have in the other pick around 7. I don't even remember this guy, to be honest. Because he doesn't have a fucking... Is this for the same guy? It is. And then the other pick of round 7, Chris Sanford. I would be a liar if I told you I knew who the fuck this was. I don't remember this jabroni at all. He didn't even fight. So he's the one of the dudes who quit early. Okay, so he was one of the dudes who quit early. Got it. Yeah. He didn't even have a fight. He quit. Fought Koscheck, got beat up. Yeah, okay. He was a dude who quit early. Yeah, I remember. Can I find a picture of this fucking guy? Like, cause yeah, he's a dude. I actually didn't quit. I think he got eliminated. So I think they voted him off because they needed to or some shit. So yeah, okay. Oh, there's an image of him. So yeah, he didn't get a fight. I think he got voted off. I don't think he quit. My bad. Either way, he didn't get a chance to fight. Clearly not that good. Yeah, he was there. And for the final picks, then round 8, we begin with another guy who was just kind of there. You know, you'd really go downhill after the big names here. And we have in the first pick of round 8, second to last pick, Josh Rafferty. He was truly a guy who was just there. Got beat up by Diego, got beat up by Alex, fought a good amount of times after the fact. Let me find you a picture of him as well. There you go. Yeah, he was he was there, got beat up, and that was about that for him. That looks like he did a movie. Sweet. Yeah, not really a whole lot to say. Yeah, P was just cannon fodder. And then finally the last pick of the draft, and the guy who kind of got bullied and da-da-da. So, okay. Did not really go very good for this guy. And we had the final pick of the draft, and the Canadian, the guy who got his bed pissed on, Jason Strange Brew Thatcher. One fight ever was against Lieben, and that was that. I think Thatcher got voted off, or did he quit? I don't remember entirely. But he didn't fight on TuF. Got called to do the TuF finale card. Got beat up by Lieben pretty easily, I would imagine. And then never fought again. I remember he didn't show his face for 30 years or da-da-da. Yeah, kind of a joke of the fucking season. Like 0-1, like why were you even here, buddy? Did I just need a Canadian? Because you're going into this, he had never fought a day in his life. That's like, why the fuck are you here? But whatever, he was there. And more memorable than a few other guys on this season. And yeah, first ever Canadian on TuF. I'm trying to think of any other, like, I feel like there has been a few other really good Canadians on TuF. I know there's probably an obvious name I'm forgetting because I'm stupid, but yeah, Jason's not one of them. He's more memorable for being a joke. And yeah, there you go. So that was the draft. That was the draft and the fighters. Obviously, the best pick would be Forrest in the 5th and Diego in the 3rd. Great picks by Liddell. Worst pick would probably have to be Sam Hoger in the 4th over Zwick, Forrest, and Kenny. And I know those are all Chuck picks, so probably the best pick for Randy would have been Bonner in the 3rd. That's a really good pick. So yeah, good, fine drafting. Like, again, not perfect, clearly, but yeah, pretty decent. A lot of the shittiest fighters did get taken last, so at least they saw that part very clearly. So good shit by Chuck and Randy. Now to look at what happened in the fights, and I mainly talked about them to go over them a little bit. The first fight in TuF history was obviously Bobby Southworth and Ludun at Sincade. Obviously Bobby finished him, first ever knockout in TuF history, first ever win in TuF history, first ever fight in TuF history, Not a high level fight by any means. The Sincade dude was not very good. Bobby looked fine, got a nice knockout. Was fine for our first ever TuF fight. Could have been better, could have been worse. Ended in a finish at least. Perfectly fine, good starting point for everything. And yeah, iconic if you want to say. Again, you're the first ever fight in TuF history. I don't think, yeah, you can't really complain about a knockout. and by the first pick, no less. So it was a good way to show off the first pick. So, there you go. Then we go to the second fight, where obviously Diego just ran through Alex with ease. Not much there. Then we had Koscheck and Lieben. This came after the episode where there was no fight. It was just the fucking... It was pretty much a reality episode, a reality TV episode where it was just a bunch of bullshit. Fucking... Again, Lieben tried to sleep outside. They fucking spilled water on his bed. He punched a hole through the glass door. Bunch of bullshit. And, yeah, no, like, it was a great... For not having a fight, it was still a pretty good episode. And, yeah, that's what made TuF. These two, Southworth, all of those fucking characters, but also were good fighters, at least for these two. And, yeah, sadly this fight did not live up to all the hype. It was just Koscheck laying on Lieben for 2 rounds, but... Yeah, the dimper note on a great little rivalry there, but what can you do? A lot of hype going, the first, like, hyped up feud fight in TuF. And, there you go. Very, fun. Build up, at least, fight with that. Then we had maybe the most controversial fight of the season, and in terms of debatable decisions, as we had in the 4th fight of the season, Stephan Bonnar versus Bobby Southworth. Very debatable decision here. I think there's a very good case they should have went to a sudden death round. I think it's very debatable if Bonnar really won both these rounds. Like, I really struggle to agree with the idea there that it was fucking a clear 2-0 for Bonnar. Like, I do think it probably should have went to a sudden death round, and could Bobby have won? Good possibility, and I imagine if he did, would have fucked everything up. So I don't know. I think this is the first debatable decision in TuF history. I really struggle to agree with it not going to a sudden death round from what I remember when I watched it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Was a pretty decent fight. Again, probably should have went to a sudden death round. Like, of course happy it didn't, because I mean, like, Bonnar won and all that, but yeah, very debatable. And what can you really say? So, first debatable decision in TuF history, not one of many to come. Maybe not this season, but over time, because even on TuF, judges are going to be judges. Look at this year, and yeah, very debatable decision there. Then we had in the 5th fight of the season, Diego running through Josh Rafferty. Simple. Next. Nothing to really say there. Then we had another run through Forrest running through Alex, the other Alex, the Argentina Alex with ease. Not much to say there. I think Forrest to get a cut here in this fight, which really caused worry about if he was going to be able to continue fighting or not. Thankfully, he was able to continue fighting and make it to the finale, but yeah, that was a big worry here. So, but he got to win, was able to fight again, and pretty cool. Simple. Then we had Lieben's return because someone pulled out or some bullshit. I think Corey got hurt. Maybe this might have been because of Corey's injury. I don't remember exactly. But someone pulled out. Lieben had to step back in. And that's when he fought Kenny Florian. Kind of like the Koscheck fight, a little more competitive, a little bit better, put a little bit better of a fight, but he did get cut, and the doctor had to stop it. He's probably going to lose anyway, from what I remember, but, you know, still sucks to lose by fucking doctor stoppage. And, yeah, still better showing for Lieben, but still probably was going to be a loss. And, yeah, sucks that he's the first fighter to take 2 L's in a TuF season. To Koscheck and Florian, more than fucking understandable. And he was able to build a pretty good career off of this. I don't think he's too upset. Yeah. Fine fight again. If you're gonna fight Chris Lieben, you're just gonna try and grapple him. So, like, I understand it. And yeah, good win for Ken Flo in his only fight of the season, because the way they did this shit was fucking stupid. Wait till we get to season 2, where they had Rashad Evans fight 3 fucking times, as the guy he fought in the finale fought once on the show. So it was stupid how they did shit back then. It was just, oh, we're gonna try and fucking pick the fight. It's not a bracket at that point, but whatever. Dumb, but it worked out in the end, and good win for Kenfla. Then we had these other fight to determine a finalist at 185. And we had maybe the fight of the season, if I remember correctly, in terms of the show, obviously not the finales. We had Diego and Koscheck. Very fun fight here, very good fight, could win. Very close. I feel like they scored it right from what I remember, but it was a very good, fun fight. High level grappling here. Good. It was very entertaining. No shocker that two of the guys on the season who looked great would have a great fight, and then obviously they did a rematch. I'm guessing it was more one-sided than a rematch. And, but yeah, this fight was two guys who were still very young into their careers going in to have a banger. Two of the best guys of the season, having a close, fun split decision. Yeah, very fun. What else can you really say? Could have easily been the finale, but, you know, that's not how it all turned out in the end. And fun fight, maybe again of just on the show, maybe the best fight of the season. Then we had in the second to last fight, I believe, yes sir. We go to find the light heavyweight finalist as we begin with Stephan Bonner versus Mike Swick. Yeah, Bonner locked up an armbar, got the win. Swick was doing alright, but he did leave his arm out for Bonner to take, and he did, so what can you really say there? Yeah, good win for Bonner, good win against Swick no less, who did go back down to welterweight after, or middleweight. I thought he was a welterweight. He did go back to his natural weight class by way of Kenny Florian fighting at 185 is batshit, but that's what he had to do. And yeah, good one for Bonner. Not a whole lot to say here. Swick was doing good, left his arm out there, got subbed. Tale as old as time. Pretty simple. Yeah. And then for the final fight, the final fight of the season, the 12th and final. They all, I think it's always 12 for as long as they've ever done it. The 12th and final fight of the season to find the final finalist, say that 5 times fast. We had the final fight of TuF Season 1, Forrest Griffin versus Sam Hoger. Obviously, Forrest just dominated him, ran through him, KO'd him in round 2. Yeah, pretty basic. Sam had no business being in the same fucking cage as Forrest, and it showed immediately. And, yeah, Sam escaped till the end, but, couldn't fucking get through this one. Got his ass beat, and yeah, it was a good stepping stone for Forrest into the finale. Pretty simple. And then with that being said, speaking of said finale, we can take a look at the finale now. Obviously, we all remember the finale, and I'll go over the whole card because they had all the fighters come back for it. We had Alex beat Rafferty, cool. Swick beat Alex, good start for Swick, back down to 185. Again, I swear he goes to 170 at one point. Corey easily beats Kincaid, finally getting the fight, happy for Corey there. Koscheck ran through Sanford, no shocker. Lee then ran through Thatcher, no shocker. Hoger beats Houseworth, that's a little bit shocking to be honest. Diego ran through Kenny, and obviously Forrest and Bonner had maybe the greatest fight in UFC history. And that saved the UFC and this, that, and the other thing. So, awesome. And then obviously ended with Franklin and Shamrock, which, you know, that people didn't even care about that fight after this just happened. So, yeah. I'd be down if they brought back this way of doing a TuF finale, bringing all the fighters back and kind of, letting it kind of be like Contender Series. If you impress, we'll keep you. If you lose, fuck you. But like, look at the names of guys who won on this card. Mike Swick, Nate Corey, Josh Koscheck, Chris Lieben. Like, that's your prelims. Crazy. And then you got fucking Diego, Kenny, Bonner, and Forrest in your fucking finale fights. This season was just so fucking good, man. It's insane. And, love it. What else can you say? And obviously the coaches we can talk about for a second. How were the coaches? We'll begin with Chuck, who I guess won overall because both his two fighters did win in Diego and Forrest. So we'll take a quick look at them. For Chuck as a coach, I thought he was very good. I thought both coaches this season were very good, Chuck and Randy. I thought they were both very good coaches. They cared, they tried, they weren't half-assing it like we see in later seasons. They weren't half-assing it or just being assholes for no reason. They both seemed like they really cared, and yeah, they were both good coaches. Chuck was a really good coach, and then Randy I also was a good coach. Who's better? I guess Randy, but it was like, I don't know, I guess maybe Chuck because he had the better fighters, but I don't know, both were really good coaches. I guess Randy in terms because he did get to stick around and do TuF for a long time. Like after a while he becomes the kind of the fucking like a game manager or whatever. So I don't know, take that as you will. But yeah, Randy, very good coach in his own right. So yeah, sir. That's another thing that helped this season. Both coaches were not fucking pricks. They really didn't have a feud with each other, which sucks, but you didn't really need it. And yeah, very good work by these two. And then obviously their fight, which was which fight was that? I think that was this one, right? No, had to be this one, right? Because I believe no, yeah, so it had to have been right here. Yeah, obviously Chuck won the fight overall, so didn't go too well for Randy there. And yeah, so that was what the last time they fought, right? Now they fight again, and Chuck wins again. So Chuck wins this series there, and yeah, there you go. Not really a whole lot left to say there. Pretty good shit there, and just a very good season overall. What else can you really ask for? It was great. It was truly fucking great. Like, everything I just talked about, all very fucking good. What else can you really talk about, man? It was phenomenal. It was what it was. It was The Ultimate Fighter. It's what The Ultimate Fighter is, what we always think of it as. It was great fighters on the show as fighters. It was fucking good coaches who were trying. It was entertaining. The fights were good. It was a phenomenal. Of course, it was phenomenal. Of course, it's a 10 out of 10 season. Nothing has ever been better. Nothing will ever be better than this season of TuF. There have been seasons that have got close. Obviously, Connor and Faber was a fun season. I watched season 2 and season 3, which are okay, but don't stack up to this one by any means. Season 3 is pretty good, and we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. Season 2, I don't think stacks up to this one. But, yeah, this is fun. Very great, obviously. It's iconic for a fucking reason. It saved the UFC. Like, people, we still talk about to this day, 21 years later, because it's so fucking iconic. So, like, what can you save the UFC? Had made the greatest fight of all time. Again, think about the list of names that came off this show. This season: Forrest, Diego, Bonner, Florian, Koscheck, fucking, like, Jesus Christ, there's so many names. Like, let's see, so Forrest, Bonner, Koscheck, Diego, Lieben, Florian, that's 6 right there. Swick, that's 7 pretty decent names that were UFC guys. Nate Quarry, that's 8. That's 8 guys who were big parts of the UFC for a while. Forrest was a champion. Diego, Koscheck, Florian all fought for the belt. Bonner is a legend. Corey and Swick were decent. Like, it was just a solid season. Probably maybe the most stacked season of all time in terms of talent. And, like, as of right now that I've seen, maybe there's a season later that's better, but I would be almost be impossible to be better in terms of talent, because, Jesus, how many more great fighters can you get? And for what it was amazing. So, 10 out of 10, they keep Ultimate Fighter around because of how legendary it is. You know, if it died already, I don't think anyone would be too upset. Contender Series has completely overlapped it at this point, but, you know, what can you really do? Yeah, and it's weird talking about a TuF season from back in the day when it was actually good after talking about this year's and last year's, which are very ugh at best. So, I don't know. Great season, of course. Again, a 10 out of 10 if I had to rate the season. It's iconic. It's the Ultimate Fighter. What the fuck else can I even say at this point? So, love it. It's tough. Pretty simple. This is, well, this is what TuF's all about. Why we love it. Why it's still on the air now for some reason. And why nothing will ever be better than Season 1 of the Ultimate Fighter. So, there you go. Not really much else to say. Hit an hour mark perfectly. Happy, I've got to go over this. I know, again, other people have done this much better than I have, but still fun to go over it and talk about it. So, yeah, I'm always gonna give my 2 cents on the shit, and hope y'all enjoyed. So, good to be back after taking a sick day yesterday because I felt like shit. And having to get this done for y'all, having to get this out for y'all on Thanksgiving Eve. And there you go. Hope y'all enjoy. The only videos this week with no fights, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? And hope y'all enjoyed it. So, not really too much else to say here. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about it. I enjoyed watching it, going back and watching it. And hope you did. Hope you enjoyed listening to me go over shit you've probably heard 1,000 times, but that never stops me from talking about it for that 1,000th and one time. So there you go. Not very much else to say. I'm kind of just rambling now. So there you go. Yeah. Obviously next week we'll talk about Season 2, and then the week after that, Roy Vol week, I guess, we'll talk about Season 3, and I'll probably be the last retrospective of the year. Probably bring them back in February. So, yeah, kind of won't do them as often, but from time to time. And, yeah, happy y'all enjoy the retrospectives. We're going deeper and back in time. So, we were only going like a few years back. Contender Series, we went all the way back to like 10 years ago. Now we're going 21 years ago. We're really going back in time now. So, always good to keep the history remembered. Never want to forget about the classics. And, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll talk about Season 2 next week, which obviously ain't as good as Season 1, but it's alright in its own right, so that should be fun. And yeah, that's about that. Obviously I'll be live later tonight, Wednesday night, for the stream that was meant to happen yesterday. Obviously I'll do a Thanksgiving stream tomorrow, and then I'll be live Saturday and Sunday. I already put out the post for that, so obviously you already know all that. And yeah, we're back. We feel better. We're gonna have a great second half of this week after taking a sick day yesterday. So can't wait. Hope y'all are ready. And yeah, so not much else to say. Thanksgiving Eve. TuF. Always get to look back on some TuF, which I think we're all thankful for this season. I know the UFC is. And as always, unless I'm going to say something which I don't believe I am, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. 200 subs go by the end of 2025. And unless I'm going to say something which I don't believe I am, as always, RX out. Good vibes only. And